Phyllis Dorothy James was born in Oxford in 1920 and died there in 2014. She had a very full life. She worked for the Ministry of Food and the Ministry of the Interior, was a commissioner for the BBC and an influential member of the British Council. In 1991, Queen Elizabeth named her Baroness of Holland Park. This title earned her the nickname Lady Thriller. She started writing in the mid-50s. She mainly wrote mystery novels, which is why she was often referred to as the heir of Agatha Christie and Arthur Conan Doyle. However, she also wrote science fiction and dystopic novels, such as The Children of Men. The Children of Men, written in 1992, projects us in 2021, in a future in which humanity is condemned to extinction, because men can no longer have children. The so-called Omegas, who are now 25 years old, are the last people to be born. Mankind is resigned to the idea of disappearing, the population ages all over the world, and people cannot find a meaning in their lives. The story takes place in London, and the protagonist is Theodore Ferren, a former university history professor. He is also the cousin of the Warden of England, a dictator that people appreciate because he ensures order, peace and safety. However, he does so at the expense of part of the population. He sends all the criminals to the Isle of Man, which is dominated by anarchy, terror and poverty. He promotes the Querus, that apparently is a voluntary group suicide, but in reality consists in chaining dragged elderly people to boats that are sunk. Besides, he allows the exploitation of the sojourners, who are foreign Omegas that can stay in England only as long as they are able to do the works that English citizens are too old to do. Theodore's life changes when he meets Julian, a young woman who introduces him to a group of dissidents, the Five Fishes, who want to fight for the rights of criminals, old people and foreign people. Theodore will later find out that Julian is pregnant and wants to keep her pregnancy hidden from the warden in order to prevent her son from becoming a political symbol. Obviously, Theodore will help and protect her. The movie Children of Men, directed by Alfonso Cuarón and released in 2006, was based on the eponymous novel by P.D. James. The movie has many differences with the novel, starting with the fact that it is set in 2027 and that children haven't been born only for 18 years. Theodore is very different from the book. At the beginning of the novel, he is a loner who has never really loved his ex-wife Helena and his daughter Natalie, who died at the age of 4 because he accidentally hit her with his car. Throughout the story, he discovers love. In fact, he falls in love with Julian and understands that he would give his own life to protect her. In the movie, Theodore is an unhappy man who drinks too much and often smokes weed with his friend Jasper, an old hippie that in the book is just an old college professor of his. Theodore is separated from his wife in the movie too, but in this case his ex-wife is Julian herself, who is the leader of the Fishes, a large group of dissidents who want to overthrow the government using violence and turn the newborn into a symbol of the revolution. Theodore and Julian's son also died as a child, but in this case the father is not to blame. The cause was an illness. Moreover, in the movie, it is not Julian who is pregnant, but Key, a young immigrant woman who risks being deported to the Bexhill refugee camp, the terrible destination for all illegal immigrants. However, this camp does not exist in the novel. Key's aim is to reach a ship called Tomorrow that belongs to the Human Project, a group of people who will be able to help her. But it is also absent in the book. Theodore protects her and dies just before reaching Tomorrow. The opposite happens in the novel, in which he becomes warden in the end. The main theme of The Children of Men is the extinction of all mankind and the way people react to this idea. No scientist can understand why men are no longer fertile, while many citizens are convinced that it is a divine punishment for human sins. In this scenario, the unborn child can be seen as the new savior of humanity, as the hope for the beginning of a new era. In this regard, Cuarón's choice to replace the white male child of the book with a black female child is interesting. It is a provocation to today's society, in which women and black people suffer from discrimination all over the world. The awareness that the human race is destined to disappear generates a strong annihilation in the world's population. It is as if people realized that everything they had done up to that point made sense only because of who would have come after them. It is remarkable how P.D. James managed to understand and describe this aspect of the human spirit. If there is no one to whom people can leave the fruits of their work, no one that can benefit from it, but first of all recognize its importance, then everything loses its meaning and becomes a useless effort. After all, history teaches us that mankind has always tried to leave a trace of its passage. It does so in order to leave a memory, and because it knows that there will be someone else in the future. Beginning with cavemen and their cave paintings, everyone did it. Through art, music, literature, funeral monuments and cemeteries, scientific, medical and technological research. Each one of us does it, through photographs, videos and personal diaries. All of this has made and makes sense only because there is and there will be someone else to enjoy it. Another important theme of the novel is the denunciation of dictatorships and their policies. However, there is also a denunciation against the population. In fact, on one hand, the government approves policies that do not grant rights to foreign workers, criminals and old people. On the other, citizens pretend not to see the injustice going on around them, because for them it is more important to live the last years of their lives in peace. So, together with the theme of dictatorship, we find the selfishness and apathy of people who do no bad but do no good either. Selfishness is another intrinsic characteristic of the human nature, and from this point of view, it is possible to make a parallelism between the story narrated by P.D. James and Martin Niemöller's sermon against the political apathy of the Nazi era. First of all, they came to take the gypsies, and I was happy because they pilfered. Then they came to take the Jews, and I said nothing because they were unpleasant to me. Then they came to take homosexuals, and I was relieved because they were annoying me. Then they came to take the communists, and I said nothing because I was not a communist. One day they came to take me, and there was nobody left to protest. The novel version and the movie version of The Children of Men can be considered as two different stories that are developed in the same dystopic world. Personally, I found the book more interesting, since the reader can get to know the protagonist much better from a psychological point of view, and can witness an evolution in his way of being and thinking. Besides, it is a more complex character, with many ghosts from the past that sometimes lead the reader to hate him and other times to pity him. On the contrary, I found the theater of the movie a bit stereotypical. He is a man who lost hope and became a cynic in self-defense, but shows his compassionate side again as soon as he discovers that there is a chance for humanity. Obviously, the story of The Children of Men is captivating and gives us great food for thought about human nature, both as a novel and as a film. So, I recommend reading or watching it to everyone.